when I was in Vienna in 1978, and I was blessed to be on a panel with a man named Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you've heard of Viktor Frankl or not.
Yes.
He wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and talked about the interconnectedness of things. When I was in college myself as a young doctoral student, one of my professors was Dr. Mildred Peters, and she insisted that all of us read this book. And it was his story of him being in a concentration camp in Auschwitz and being lifted out of his home in Berlin. They took away everything that he had, and he became a prisoner. And he said to me at this conference for Young Presidents Organization in Vienna, he said, when you are confronted with circumstances that you can't do anything about, and it will happen a lot in your life, he said, at that moment, we are challenged to change ourselves. If you can't change the circumstances, we can change ourselves. And I think that was what taught me that lesson, and now it comes to you, and now you're telling me that you tell your employees this very same kind of lesson yourself, that the economy can be bad, that you can lose your job, that someone can have an accident that's close to you. But inside of you, there's something divine that no one can take away from you. I used to always tell the story about Thomas Edison, because I grew up in Michigan, and there's an Edison museum there, and there's a lot of he was from that area as well, and he was attempting to invent a light bulb, some kind of a filament inside of it that would burn. And he had tried 25,000, that's what I was reading anyway, they had tried 25,000 different combinations, and he still couldn't get a filament that would continue to stay lit. And a reporter had asked him, because he was one of the most famous inventors alive, they asked him, how does it feel? He said, to have failed, someone of your stature, to have failed 25,000 times. And I remember his response. So, well, I don't know if it's in that tape series or not, but it was, he said, failure? He said, I don't really know what you're talking about. He said, today, I know 25,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that, too. And I also remember this story of a little boy, because I grew up in a series of foster homes and orphanages back in Michigan, and I can remember doing this very thing. And he had this little boy was walking around. He had a baseball bat in his hand, and he had a ball in his in the other hand. And he would take the ball and he would throw it up in the air, and then he would take his bat and he would swing at it, and he'd swing at it and he would miss it. And then he'd take the ball, he'd pick it up again, and he'd throw it up in the air, and he'd swing at it again, and he'd miss it. And finally, he took it up in the air and he threw it, and he missed again. And he said, "What a pitcher!" Like, if I can't hit it, I got to be the greatest pitcher in the world. I'm even striking myself out. I think about giving a lecture back, and it's like I always say, Sarah, that we're not the ones that are really moving the pieces around. There's something bigger in this universe. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's not a religious thing at all. It's more of a spiritual thing. That there's something moving the pieces around, and we're sort of in the Tao Te Ching. I wrote a book called "Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life." And Lao Tzu speaks about, he said that you're not doing anything, you're just being done. That there's a sense that there's something bigger that we're connected to. And I think about you do something small, like I gave a talk in Detroit, Michigan at the Ford Auditorium in 1976 or 77, and it was recorded and it was just put out there. And here, 25, 30 years later, someone picks up those tapes, listens to them as the father does, gives them to his daughter. It's like the interconnectedness of it all. And now you have a company that is really helping, in a sense, just creating well-being on people. People who look better and feel better are happier people, really making a huge impact. And I think back to, what was it that motivated me to even allow that taping? Because I went back, I can remember going back and forth on the stage when I was deciding, do I really want to commercialize this message that I have? Because I had a sense that for me, it's not about selling products. It's just about making a difference. And I went back and forth, and I thought, okay, go ahead, let them tape it. And this was a whole new industry that they were starting with, with motivational tapes and so on. And then I think about so many of the other things that, I was talking about Viktor Frankl, and Viktor Frankl, my relationship to him has moved from, I called the film The Shift, originally I called it From Ambition to Meaning, that I had this real strong ambition within me to make a difference, to do all of these things. And then I began to make a shift in my life to the inner mantra wasn't what's in it for me. My inner mantra was, how may I serve? How may I serve? And it seems to me that you're doing that with your business, and I'm just so proud to be associated with it, and that all of those little decision-making things that I thought I was making were really being orchestrated by something much bigger